Pepper, you ready to go to the garden? Oh, you ready to go to the garden? Let's go. My little garden puppy. Pepper loves being in the garden. She says that's her territory. She'd chase them chickens away from the fence. Yeah. Morning, y'all. This is Marie from our Okie homestead. I'm in the garden some more. I've been planting stuff, getting this other bed ready. Had to make a road trip to a rheumatologist yesterday. That was a long ride there and back. Didn't get anything done yesterday in the garden. Got stuff transplanted the other day though, and it rained yesterday, so they're all looking kind of happy today. I got my tomatoes in here. I went ahead and planted some peppers down here, but I kind of think I may go ahead and transplant a couple of them over here to this other bed. I got my soil amended and I put my soaker hose in here. I've got this into the bed to be able to plant something else. I still have to transplant the Brussels sprouts. I'm not really looking for them to do anything. But the bell pepper's over here, and then I have 2 indeterminate tomato plants on each side of the trellis, so they'll trellis over. This bed is where I had the Roma tomatoes last year. And I did just like I did before. I left some laying, but now we had to kind of stir around the dirt and stuff when we was replacing that side. Dear husband even went so far as to get some hinges to attach it here because we discovered the end of this board is kind of rotten. So we wanted to tie in a little bit more for this season. But I have some volunteer stuff coming up. I kind of suspect it might be tomato plants from the Romas. I'm just going to watch them and see. And then if they are, I'll go ahead and transplant over to here after I transplant peppers. I may go ahead and transplant 2 in the next day or 2 just to go ahead and get them over there. And then that way if I do have volunteer Romas coming up, because I see those over there, and there's another one here. So, and you can still see skin from the Romas I just left out here, and look, that's all around that. So I suspect that's baby tomatoes coming up volunteering. Just like this bed, I highly suspect a bunch of this is zinnias, because that's what was planted here last year. And so when everything died back, what I didn't pull, I know there was some seed heads that got scattered. Some of it's not. The onions are really looking good this morning after the rain yesterday. I do need to amend this dirt some, but I didn't want to stir it up too much with the volunteers that are coming up. But you see how the grass is coming back up through this fabric? And just even this bed, you see the stuff growing on top of the fabric? The easiest thing I know to do is I'm going to take my cardboard and I'm going to go ahead and put it down on top of the fabric that's there to suffocate what's coming up. And then on my fabric, I've already got it stretched out. I just need to cut it to fit. And I'm going to put this other layer of fabric inside of here. And because it's landscape timbers and I don't want this grass trying to grow its way in, I'm going to bring that fabric and staple it on the inside up here so that hopefully nothing will be able to sneak in from the outside. That's what I'm working on this morning. I transplanted my Oriental hybrid lily. It's been in that garden bed since I first set it up. And it kept getting messed up because I would forget it, plant something on top of it, or I had that fabric down. Well, that's why it's kind of scraggly looking, as it was trying to work its way out from underneath that fabric. So I've went ahead and transplanted it over here the other day. So, and I've got my containers here on each side of my gateway ready to go. And these irises are getting ready to bloom. I transplanted a volunteer marigold over here, and it looks like something's eating on it already. I'm running out of time. I've got to finish getting this done. I mean, here we are into April. Why is it you weeding, going along, and you be making progress? Don't get up in my garden bed, Smokey. And then you come back around and you'll spot something else that you missed, totally missed the first time. So, yeah, Pepper, of course, is out here on patrol. The cat had to come see what I'm doing. I'm gonna make sure she don't get up in one of the beds to use the bathroom. What you doing, Smokey? What you doing? What you doing out here in the garden? Huh? What you doing out here in the garden? I've got my boxes in here. I've also still got my bag of shavings I need to get in. The shavings is going to be like the bottom layer. We've got some garden soil to use too. I think they see the cat. They don't like the cat. All right, so I got the cardboard all down in there. Now I'm going to cut my fabric to fit. And then I got my staple gun so I can staple it on the inside of the bed. So hopefully nothing will come growing through here like the grass does. It sneaks in these edges and from underneath. So I wanted to make sure that they're not going to be able to work their way into the bed. So I'm going to use the landscape fabric as like a liner for the inside of it. Well, I got it stapled in place. I cut it to fit and I stapled it in as good as I could. The ends were kind of a pain in the butt, but it doesn't matter what it looks like because it's going to be covered with dirt pretty much. So I had to make sure I had plenty of give so when I put the dirt in here, it wasn't going to tear it off. So I think I got it. So the next step for this bed is the dirt. The wind kicked up and kind of caused it to be an issue trying to hold that fabric in place to get it stapled in. I just kind of folded it around the corners. Here we go. I took that chicken litter and put in here. Now it's been sitting out here all winter in that bag, so it's kind of started breaking down. So I'm probably just going to plant flowers in this bed for this year, because anything else I plant, if the roots go deep enough to get into this stuff, the fact that it ain't decomposed all the way down to compost, it will cause nitrogen issues. It will suck the nitrogen out of the plants and they won't do well if they have to root very deep and end up down in this. So I'm going to put the dirt on top, and then I'm not even going to mix it. I'm just going to get my dirt layered in there. Really, Pepper? Eating the dirt. Well, I got this one done now. So now I just get to plant in it. Decide what I'm going to plant. But yeah, see, you can barely see that landscape liner. It's not really sticking out like a sore thumb or anything. So I'm hoping this works. Keep it from creeping in the ends of these landscape timbers, because they don't sit flush up against each other. So stuff grows through. So keep your fingers crossed for me. It only was supposed to got down to like 40 last night, but yet there's still a light frost in a couple of the beds. See the white looking? That's actually a little bit of frost. Crazy. I was supposed to get down to like 40 last night, so it's kind of strange to see a little bit of frost. I didn't cover anything up because we wasn't supposed to have a freeze. So hopefully everything will be fine. Y'all come back and watch for garden updates later on as the season progresses. I've got most of the garden planted now. I've got one bed left to work on. I went ahead and transplanted 2 of my peppers out of here and put them in this other bed. There's a couple of what looks like volunteer Roma tomatoes coming up. So I'm going to transplant them when they get a little bit bigger and put them over here. It'll be the indeterminate tomatoes on the end, Roma, 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 and then the bell peppers. And then over here in this other bed, I've got the indeterminate tomatoes and bell pepper, bell pepper, bell pepper, bell pepper, and Brussels sprouts. I don't really expect the Brussels sprouts to do anything because they're more of a cool weather deal. I've never grown them before, so I figured I would give them a try. It says maturity 80 to 90 days. 80 to 90 days maturity, which is going to put us in the heat of summer. And I was reading where it was saying in the heat of summer, it's not good to harvest them. They're not any good or something. I don't know. Time will tell on this. I've got this bed. I dug up grass. I dug all the dirt out, got the grass up. And Karma's out here in the garden with me this morning. And I went ahead and amended it with my cow manure compost bags of stuff I bought. So it's ready to go. I already planted indeterminate tomato. And cherry tomato seeds I put here. Cherry tomato seeds I put here. And indeterminate. Yeah, big beef. That's the indeterminate full-size tomatoes I went with this year to vine over the trellis. And then I've got cantaloupe planted in both these containers here by the gate. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you something I learned about these trellises in the couple of years that we've had them. You want to make sure, since my wood is rotting, number one, my horseshoe nails or whatever, U-nails, whatever they call them, has come out some. But the biggest thing is they will move, and like with the wind and stuff, since I didn't use T-posts to help secure them, they've got more give on them. You definitely want to make sure that what you're planting on each side of it is going to be about equal, because if you only had something vining up one side of it, it gets all covered up on one side, and then it wants to lean over to one side. And plant the same on each side of it to try to make sure it's going to end up equal. I'm going to end up with grass in this bed if I don't get something and kill the grass on this edge. I dug it out as good as I could and stuck a plastic bag on the inside of the bed because that board is more rotten than I thought it was. So hopefully that'll keep anything from growing from the outside going in again. That's the hope. I've got other stuff I need to be doing. I'm running out of time on the garden stuff. It's like I've got to get stuff. I got to get it done. Squash plants he picked up for me. That's what these are here. And then this new bed, I just put black-eyed peas, not black-eyed peas, purple whole peas in here, in this whole bed. Because peas are supposed to be a nitrogen fixer, the fact that there's underneath this dirt is that chicken litter. The peas, hopefully it won't affect them like that. Since peas are supposed to be a nitrogen fixer, we'll see how that works out. My next project after this is getting that shed set up. I've got to start collecting eggs. Have a good one.